Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A very special show today. We have a guest, Father Federico Hayton, who is an Argentinian priest, and he's going to tell us all about the shocking reality of the slavery of Christians in Pakistan and what he and his order are doing to help Christians who are greatly in our need. And you're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. Padre Federico, thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you to you, Kennedy, for the invitation.
And just so everybody knows, Father Federico is a real missionary because we just spent 15 minutes figuring out the internet, because when you're in mission territory, you don't always have the best internet. So I appreciate all you've done to make this work.
Thank you to you for the patience.
No problem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put a QR code on the screen here. And if you're listening to this on your cell phone, then you're going to have to find a way to get the QR code. Or if you're on your laptop, put your scanner on it, put your camera on it, and the donations, it brings you to a donation spot where you can donate to the ministry, which we're going to talk about here because this is very serious stuff. So, Father Federico, why don't you just give us a little background of who you are and the order that you belong to?
I am Father Federico Hayton. I belong to the Saint Elijah's Order, in Spanish, Orden San Elias. This community has been approved by the Holy Church in Himalayas by one Himalayan bishop on 3rd of February of 2016. In the Indian side, we start our mission in the Indian side of the Tibetan Plateau, in the border of India, Chinese Tibet, Nepal, and Bhutan. Then, I have been ordained a priest on 1st of December of 2012. I am a Adventist missionary. Basically, that's my. I am PhD philosophy,
Okay.
PhD theology. That's all.
Okay. Awesome. That's wonderful. And is your order, is Padre Ravasi a part of your order, or is he a friend, or what's the relation there?
Oh, yes. Yes. He's the co-founder of the divinity, and I'm also a personal friend. Yes.
Okay. That's amazing. So, Padre Ravasi, for those who don't know, who are English speakers, para los hispanohablantes que están escuchando esta emisión, you can listen to Padre Ravasi on YouTube. It's called Que no te la cuenten, I think. And
Yes.
he has an excellent Spanish-speaking YouTube channel. And my friend, Father Charles Murr, has been on his been on his show many times. It's an excellent program if you're a Spanish speaker. And so that's a wonderful connection there. So, Father, I think the first thing we should talk about is that slavery is still a thing, because, we believe in North America, the Civil War, slavery is gone from the world and it doesn't exist anymore. But it does exist, and it's a very serious thing. Would you be able to give us a background of how today there are Christians in Pakistan who are still slaves, and how that's still happening?
Yes, gonna be. I have seen with my eyes that slavery still exists in Pakistan. For example, in Pakistan. So I have seen with my eyes 3 types of slavery. The first type is sexual slavery. Second type is debt slavery. Technically, it's called bondage labor. And the third one is a mixed type of slavery. It is both sexual and debt slavery at the same time. So this is the briefing of the issue. So what means sexual slavery in Pakistan? Means that it's quite common in Pakistan that many Muslim men approve, with the approbation, with the endorsement of the clerics, they kidnap Christian illiterate poor girls, and they force them to get married with them, and they force them to become Muslims. I mean, they force them to commit apostasy. And there are two ways uh, of kidnapping them. One is just through violence, with a gun, for example. Second way, it is, and this is the most common one, is that they seduce, one old man seduce, let's say a man of 50 years old, he seduce a very poor, illiterate Christian girl who might be 12 years old. And the lady has no experience of life. So then the lady, she conceives a fantasy about that man. Then that man forced her moved her, convinced her to get married immediately, maybe 2 days after. And then she convinced her to, at the same time, she convinced her to become a Muslim. So then, after a period of, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, the honeymoon finished, and she becomes a slave. Um, she can be a prostitute. She can be sold to other country, let's say to Saudi Arabia. Or the man can, let's say the husband, can call his friends, his neighbors, his relatives to make a gang raid with that girl. So this is the first type of slavery that we have we are dealing with in Pakistan. Second type of slavery is this bondage labor. This means bondage labor is something shocking. Means that imagine you, Kennedy, you have a debt. I mean, you have a need, a strong need. Let's say your daughter is dying, so you need to take her to a hospital to make her have medical treatment, and you need $500 for the treatment. So you borrow some money from somebody, and then you can't pay the debt. So in Pakistan, you will become a slave of the man who borrowed you the money. And you and your wife and your children will become slaves of that man. And you will live normally in a brick kiln, a brick factory, making bricks, you, your wife, and your children, until you can pay the debt. But normally the debts cannot be paid. So if you die without being able to pay the bill, your children will remain there until they can pay the debt. And if they cannot manage to pay the debt, your grandchildren will remain there. I saw a family of 4 generations working in a brick kiln, 4 generations, because of a small debt of, let's say, $500. So this is a very serious reality that especially affects Christians in Pakistan. And there are hundreds of thousands of Christian slaves nowadays in Pakistan. And with this system, the children normally don't go to school, and they are working making bricks since they are 6 or 7 years old until they die.
Wow. So, in your opinion or in your experience, the majority of slaves in Pakistan are Christians then?
I mean, they are the majority, yes, and also they are the ones that suffer the most. And it is also, I was telling you, it is a third type of slavery that is also very terrible one. It is a mix of sexual slavery and bonded labor. System is like this: the managers, the staff of the brick kilns will choose. Usually, on many occasions, it's like this. They will choose some ladies of the some of the slaves, some of the bonded labor slaves, and they become also the sexual slaves in the brick kiln. So, I mean, this is also a third type of slavery in Pakistan that nowadays is affecting a lot of
And
Christian girls.
so, in general, then, I mean, are the Christians selected for slavery because they lack the basic rights that everyone else has? There's no protections. Is it largely because of how bad the situation is for Christians in Pakistan that this is possible?
I mean, situation for Christians in Pakistan is terrible, terrible. So they are like normally they are like pariahs, people that are absolutely out of the society. So this system of bonded labor, the second system, like I told you, the one of let's say bonded labor is debt slavery. This affects also Muslims, but in the case of Christians, it's much harder because the owners, the enslavers, they especially attack the Christians during their slavery life. They beat them, they torture them, they rape the women. So, it is, and also and this is the most important thing, they don't allow them normally to receive the sacraments. So, on some cases, the owner may allow them to make some prayers. But the most part of slaves that I have seen in Pakistan, they are not baptized yet. They are not baptized. Why? Because they are for them it's almost impossible to have access to the supplements because of this celebrity condition.
I have a friend, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, for those listening, I'm going to remind you of the QR code on the screen. The money that you donate will go to help this heroic ministry. So please be generous with your donations. As we've already heard, a little bit of money goes a long way. I'm sure that some of us listening right now could probably find $500 in our bank account to free a person, for example, from debt slavery. So please be generous. Father, I have a friend who is a missionary. I have a few priest friends who are missionaries in Asia. And they're based in Singapore, and they serve various chapels in, India, Sri Lanka, China, and Malaysia, and so forth. And some of the stories that they've told me about what's necessary to even get into the countries, I won't give their identities away, but, some of them, they basically have to dress in lay clothes. He goes to the border and I'm here as an engineer, or they, whatever he can be. Sometimes, I'm here to visit a girlfriend or something. They'd have to say something that lets them in. And I saw pictures, and it was in one of the Muslim Asian countries where they were doing a funeral, and he was wearing a golf shirt and jeans and a baseball cap, and performing the rites for the funeral because he had to make sure that if somebody saw them, they wouldn't look like a priest. And is this the type of stuff that your order faces when you're doing your ministry?
Oh, that is a normal situation.
Okay. Wow. And if you get caught, I imagine there are consequences. So it's important to be very careful.
I mean, to be caught, I mean, we in Pakistan, we operate according to the law of the country. So nobody can uh, charge us of anything. That's clear. But if they caught you because they are mad and they want to cut you, um, that is a privilege for the missionaries because we have the chance to be confessor fide.
That's right. That's right. To die is gain. To die is the gain, as St. Paul tells us. Um, that's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share on the screen here. I'm going to link the website underneath. This is the website for the apostolate, which is called Pax 2. And all the information is there. There's another video there of Father Heighton talking about what they do. It gives options about solutions and so forth. So I'm going to encourage everyone to check out that website that I've linked underneath as well. And Father, you were telling me before we came on, Pax, we know it's the Latin word for peace, but it's an acronym. Could you tell us what that means in relation to your ministry?
Oh, yes. It is a way of writing in Spanish Cristo with an X, XTO, Cristo. So I don't know if in English you have this, but so this means Pakistani Christendom because Pax wants to be kind of acronym of Pakistani Christendom. That is the meaning. Because, yes, we are working to set up very soon a neighborhood, a Christendom for redeemed Christian slaves in Pakistan.
And so in your ministry, then, I guess the goal is to help alleviate the slavery and then help them live a Christian life. Is that the idea?
I mean, this is one of the projects we are working on. Also, we have other projects, but this specific project, PAX, we are talking about, it is for redemption of the slaves. Material redemption means to take them out from the slavery, and first of all, mainly to give the holy sacraments to go to heaven. So it is we liberate them from slavery, from the material slavery, to help them to go to heaven, receiving the sacraments and the preaching, the doctrine. Yes.
And the way that you alleviate them from their material slavery, does that involve basically finding a way to pay the chiefs, etc., in order to give them a reason to let them go? Is that kind of how it works?
That is one of the ways. That is one of the strategies. There are other legal ways to redeem them according to the circumstances. So, and according for sure to the doctrine of the church.
Right.
So it is a matter of prudence, of the virtue of prudence, to make a discernment, to know what's the best strategy in each case. Not yes.
I think us in the West, people need to understand just how difficult it is for Christians in countries like this. Again, I'll talk about one of the stories from my priest friend who was missionary in China. And, they had the law about having only one or two children. And people don't realize the heavy burden that lays on them. And they have to do things like, now they can have 3 children officially. But, if they had more children than they were allowed to have, they would basically have to give their child to a family member who didn't have children, and they would basically have to give up their child and in order that they would survive. And that's the sort of thing that people are facing. And the situation for Christians in those parts of the world is astonishing. And I'm looking at our notes here, and there are some real horror stories. Are there any stories maybe to help the viewers understand that you might want to share?
There are. I mentioned the third type of slavery, let's call the integral slavery or mixed slavery system, is that there are ladies who are bonded. They're in a situation of bonded labor, meaning making bricks every day as slaves, who are also sexual slaves of the staff of the place, of the enslavers. So I saw one of the operations we performed to liberate slaves was a group of 6 families. The grandparents, and then the, the the sons and daughters who were married. So there were 5 families with children, plus the grandparents, and all the wives, all the mothers of that group, or Christians, have been systematically raped for 10 years. 10 years being raped. And in the brick kiln factory. And the owner, the managers, they give drugs to the men, to the husbands, so they can rape the women at the same time. So, and that families were forced to commit apostasy. And so what was, but then also we rescue them. And before we rescue them, we didn't know that ladies were sexual slaves. We didn't know that. But after we rescue them, we interview them, and each of them shared with us their testimony. They told us that they had been raped for 10 years. So, and one of them became pregnant after being raped. And she was willing to have a baby, even though it was a fruit of right about the rapist killed the baby.
That's horrible. Oh my goodness.
So these are real stories we have been with, and now we are still helping them. So after we rescue them, the enslavers went to hunt them, went to recover them. So we changed when they have been discovered, we changed the spot to a second house. Then they have been discovered again. We changed this house again and again and again. So this is not, they are not in a situation of security. On the contrary, so we have the duty to set up a neighborhood for them, for Christian redeemed slaves. So the name of this neighborhood is Holy Pax, the Pakistani Christendom. Uh, so yes, why we are setting up a neighborhood? Because we don't have other solution. We cannot be the slaves cannot be running from house to house to house to house forever and ever. They have babies, they have grandparents, they are human beings.
There was recently there was a bombing, I think, in Syria, and I saw a video of a woman talking about why she doesn't want to flee, and she wants to stay because she says, you know what? They might kill me, but this is the land of my ancestors. This is the land of,
Oh yes.
and so for a lot of us in the West, they think, well, why wouldn't they just leave? But this is their home too, and there needs to be a solution where they get to keep it.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, I advocate for them remaining there. Why? Because that is the country, that is their culture. Um, so if we take them to USA, that will be a disaster for them because they will not be adapted in USA. That's not even in Europe. So what we should do, we should move them to other parts of the country, but we should move them to a safety place that is a neighborhood with security. Because like in every country, in Pakistan you can have security, your security guards, private security. So that will be that is the solution. Even though, when we set up after we set up the Christendom with the security, they might be assault, they might be attacked, but they will die being free people. They will die defending their faith. They will die defending their family, and after living life with freedom and with sacraments, first of all, because most important thing is sacraments.
There was a story because I'm here in Canada, and there was I want to say about 20 years ago there was a story of a young woman. Maybe you know the story, but she was assaulted and raped and all these sorts of things, and she ended up escaping to Canada, and it was a big news story. But and I think the bishops helped her get here. But this is extremely common. But for every person that does escape, there are those who stay, and they need to stay. And I don't think that we know about this enough in the West. And you've talked about this with other people. Is this something that's well known, or is it largely hidden?
Yes, this fact is unknown. Um, is it is something. I met the Pope. I met Pope Francis. I talked to him about the sexual slavery in Pakistan, and I showed to him a report. I showed to him a list of 100 teenagers who have been kidnapped in Pakistan and forced to become Muslims and forced to become wives of the kidnappers. And the Pope was almost crying in front of me. Yes, this
That's,
situation
yeah.
is unknown. It's unknown. Unknown.
So what can people do? So besides donating, and again, I'm going to encourage, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna appeal to your hearts here, viewers and listeners. If your daughter or your sister or whatever was in this situation, I don't think there's an amount of money that would be too much that you would spend to get them back. So please, the QR code on the screen here, use that and donate. And also, if you're not someone who uses QR codes, there is a link underneath, and the donate button is very easy there as well. So besides donating, what are some things that people can do to help you with this ministry?
First of all, to go to request to the priest to offer the Holy Mass for the redemption of the Christian slaves in Pakistan and for the end of Christian slavery. That will be in the same way that we request a Mass uh, for the healing of a friend or for the eternal rest of my uncle. Also, we can request Mass for the end of Christian slavery in Pakistan. That's a way of also praying the Rosary. So this is the first strategy, the first solution. It is to pray for them. And secondly, it is to donate, as you said. Third one, it is to, but this is only for men who are single, not married. They can apply to join us to go to rescue them. So we have a big team, international team of volunteers who go to get it done, to redeem the slaves. So this is not only the work of Father Federico. We are a team working on this with many volunteers from many countries. So you can join us if you're a man, if you're brave, and if you're a man of faith. And if you're single, I request them to be single, because if they're married, they should commit to their wife, to their children. They shouldn't go to expose their lives for these things, I think.
So for any young men listening, there's your call to action. If you want to do something meaningful with your life, I mean, I can't think of anything better to do. So ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you pray for this. I know that we pray the rosary every day after supper as a family, and we have a list of intentions. So we're going to add this, the end of Christian slavery in Pakistan, to our intentions. And we're going to make sure that we spread the message so people can donate as much money as possible. And one thing I wanted to ask you, Father, before we end our time here together, we were talking before we came on about the importance of the traditional Mass as an evangelization tool.
Yes.
How about you discuss that for a bit?
Yeah. That's very important. In my experience as a missionary priest in places with zero Catholics, because we especially prefer to go to zero Catholic places that have zero Catholics, to convert the people. The TLM has been a wonderful tool, wonderful mean to evangelize the non-Christians and the non-Catholics. And first of all, because we use language that is universal, we use Latin. So if I go to, let's say, to Pakistan and I celebrate the Mass in English, some of them may understand, because Pakistan was a British colony. But the problem is that it may sound to them that it is the language of the colonizers. So it is not very pastoral, let's say. And if I celebrate the Mass in Urdu, because in Pakistan many of them speak Urdu, the problem is that many people in Pakistan don't speak. That is not their mother tongue. So in Pakistan, in India, in China, there are many languages. Even in Africa. So normally in all the mission areas, you have many languages and people of many languages living together. So if you celebrate the Mass in a local language, then that will not be the local language for other ones. that will not be the mother tongue for other ones. So if you celebrate in Latin, that is universal language, it's a wonderful linguistic strategy for mission in places, in adyacentes places, in places where the church does not exist. That's the first reason to advocate for TLM on mission areas. Second reason is that um, normally it's very difficult to translate the rituals to the local language, to strange language. How you might translate the canon, the Roman canon to the Urdu language? Maybe it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it is. So that's. I saw in Africa a diocese that has an ad experimentum mass book, because the translation is ad experimentum, because in the Vatican they don't have staff who are specialists on that language. So the approbation is just ad experimentum. So other reason is that I don't know why, but I never received even one complaint for celebrate from the pagans, from the natives, because of the TLM. On the contrary, always they are happy with the TLM. So this is also an experience that I have. It's a personal experience.
Well,
And then
I think if I may
yes,
interject here for a second, Father, here I live near Lake Huron in Canada, and it was called Huronia back when the French Jesuits came.
yes.
And my sons, they go to a summer camp at this old scout campsite, and when they go into the woods, if they look hard enough, they can find old stone altars that the missionaries would say mass on when they were going down the river. And it's so funny to think that we had missionaries from France who came to Canada who celebrated the Mass in Latin for natives who spoke neither French nor Latin, and they all converted in huge numbers. And it's a story as old as time, that when the missionaries go around the world, when they bring the universal liturgy of the Latin rite, that this results in massive conversion. So this makes perfect sense.
I mean, it is the church convert a lot of pagan populations with the TLM. This is a fact.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
There are some exceptions. Let's say Saint Cyril and Saint Method. In Spanish, we say San Cyril y Metodio,
yeah.
who evangelized the slaves. Not the slaves, people from
Slavs.
slavery, but people from Slavs, and they request a special authorization from the Pope to celebrate the Mass in the local language. Yeah, that is, but that is was not the the typical
No. And even in their
strategy.
case, they gave us Church Slavonic, which really is a high universal Slavic language anyway. So that still functioned very much like a Latin in the sense that it was a liturgical language and not one, spoken in the pub, so to speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. But even though it was an exception, what was not the normal strategy. No. Then then but then in our order we celebrate the TLM. So for us this is very natural to celebrate the TLM. And then but this is challenging because in Pakistan, where will you find a local priest? Because Pakistan has also bishops and priests and sisters. Um, but who in Pakistan celebrates the TLM? I think nobody, not even one priest. So um, we, thanks to God, we became friend of a priest who celebrates the new missal to the yes, he has not celebrated the TLM yet, but we invite him to celebrate the TLM, and we invite him to be the parish priest of the Christendom of Pax, of the neighborhood we will set up, and he accepted most gladly. So we are buying now on this week. We are buying a lamb of the first neighborhood, And he will buy the land inside his parish zone, inside his parish area. So he put the parish priest and the chaplain of Pax, and this priest now he wants to be trained on the TLM. So I take profit of this interview, Kennedy, I to request to you or to your friends or to the people that is watching this video that whoever can invite him to go to USA, he has the visa, he has USA visa. So to be trained for 1 month at the TLM, and so he will be happy and I will be happy, because when I go to Pakistan, I don't have enough time to train him properly, uh, because we are on a hurry, being slaves. But it would be good for him to be kind of 1 month in America, learning the TLM, being trained at the TLM, so he can go back to Pakistan to perform everyday TLM the slaves or on a regular basis. What do you think?
And that's a good idea. That's a great idea. I think I know a bunch of priests and lay people who would like to help that happen. I know that the Mass of the Ages film company, they have kits that they send out to priests to help them learn it as well. So that'd be good to connect with them as well. And what's the best way people can contact your organization to help you with these requests?
I mean, they can write an email to the website. They have a section contact. You can right there.
Okay. Okay, I'll link that underneath as well. And wow, we've covered a lot. I knew a little bit about it, but it really is shocking when you hear it from firsthand testimony. And wow, I'm shocked by some of these things that I've heard today. Father, is there anything else you would like to add before we sign off here? Any other information?
Yes, yes. Many young people are eager to face risk and adventures and battles, but they don't find in the church nowadays some opportunities to have epic experiences. So I want to invite young people who are still single to have some epic missionary experiences. Um, that will be spiritually rewarding for you. So just you have the opportunity to do epic things for God. But many young people, they put in risk their life for nothing, for a stupid thing. Let's say making X games, they broke their head on the skateboard, for nothing, and then but the Catholic Church traditionally offers to young people opportunities to face big adventures with a transcendental sense. That is for the highest glory of God, for the salvation of the souls. So in mission, redeeming slaves, preaching the gospel to pagans, preaching the gospel in unknown areas and in uncharted areas, you have the chance to do big things for the highest glory of God, putting at risk your life for a big reason, and gaining merits for heaven. That's all.
You hear that, young men? You love your video games, and you're on Twitter, and you're saying we need a new crusade, etc. Well, put away your video games, and here is your crusade. Here is the mission that you can go on to reclaim the world for God, and this is a direct apostolate of the Catholic Church, under the guidance of very good priests. And I'm 37. And our 7th child is a couple months away from arriving. So I'm not in a position where I'm able to leave. But if I was 20 years old or 21 years old and I wasn't married and I wanted something heroic to do, I would certainly be jumping at the opportunity to do this. This sounds like an amazing way to risk your life. Hey, you're gonna die. No, you're gonna die anyway. Everyone's, you're gonna have taxes and you're gonna have death. Those are the only two things that are certain. And so you may as well die in a good way if it comes to that. And maybe you won't anyway, but it's all for God, which is the best thing you can do.
Yes, yes, yes. One author says, and it's true, that God put in the hearts of men, not of women, but of men, the eagerness to fight a battle, to live an adventure, and to rescue a beautiness, something that is beautiful. So if you have a chance to fight a battle and live an adventure and rescue the souls, that is the most beautiful thing.
Excellent. Well, Father, thank you so much. Are you comfortable with giving us a blessing? I know some priests do it over the camera,
yes.
some don't. If you would, that'd be great.
I will give the blessing. I could like this. I will give a blessing to all the people that will see this video one day, because God knows who are them, so they will receive the blessing.
Thank you, Father.
Domine Vobiscum,
Cum spiritu tuo.
benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius, Spiritus Sanctus. Viva Cristo Rey.
Viva Cristo Rey. Muchas gracias, Padre. Everyone who's watching, please, again, click the link underneath. Use your QR code scanner. Stop wasting your money on Netflix and whatnot and donate to this instead. So, Father, this has been a pleasure. If you ever need anything or any other announcements or any other help or anybody else in your order or whatever who needs help promoting things, we're linked through our mutual friend Sergio. So please just make sure that I get the information, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you.
All right.
By the way, where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Ontario, Canada.
Oh, Ontario. I have never been in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Thank you.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mere Tradition. This has been one of the heavier episodes, so make sure you take it seriously. And God bless you all, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.